Yeah, today I have just a question, or maybe it's something we all need to sit with individually. But why are we laughing at the collapse? Political insanity that should spark riots is turned into memes and late night punchlines, and we just eat it up. Why? Because it's easier than facing the fire? Welcome to Keith Speaks. Now, while Americans watch their republic burn and chuckle, chaos in DC, economic traps snapping shut overseas, alliances crumbling in real time, there should be anger, frustration, a raw reckoning with the stakes. But no, we laugh. And I get it. Psychology 101, laughter is a coping mechanism. Outrage fatigue is real. After endless scandals, the brain protects itself. Media figured that out fast, turn gravity into satire, keep the eyes glued, never demand action. There's even a name for it in behavioral science, benign violation theory. The joke reframes the threat as manageable, digestible, safe. South Park understood the assignment decades ago. Laugh at the blade so you never have to pick it up. But here's where it flips from coping to complicity. When the laughter becomes the default, when every scandal gets a meme before it gets a movement, you're not processing the pain anymore. You're medicating it. And medicated people don't organize, they scroll. The corporate mega donors know this. The architects of rigged elections know this. The people who wrote a constitution that doesn't apply evenly, not to us, not you and me, they absolutely know this. Your representatives aren't dancing for you, they're dancing for the check. And the check wants you laughing, not legislating. Laughing lets you stay passive. It's the permission slip for the sidelines. Media leads the charge, and it's by design. Outrage hooks you in, but comedy normalizes the absurd. It boosts the clicks and kills the urgency in the same breath. Why inform when deflection pays more? Why sustain gravity when you can get the same ad revenue from a reaction gift? Polarization locks the cycle. Laugh at your side's wins, rage at the losses, but never hold either long enough to demand real structural change. Let me say something that should embarrass every network executive, every panel booker, and every editor in chief in this country. A cartoon, animated in Colorado, voiced by grown men doing children's voices, built on shock humor and fart jokes, has delivered more factually grounded, structurally honest political commentary than most of what passes for journalism on your television screen. South Park named the pharmaceutical lobby's grip on the opioid crisis before half the mainstream outlets would touch it. They mapped the surveillance state, the two-party illusion, the celebrity industrial complex, the weaponization of outrage, in episodes that aired and were forgotten by Monday but were more accurate than the panel discussions that replaced them. Think about what that means. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, with no press credentials, no embedded sources, no DC access, have consistently gotten closer to the structural truth than the people CNN and MS Now pay to explain the world to you. The difference? South Park doesn't have a publisher. They don't have a next booking to project. They're not auditioning for a cabinet position. They have no incentive to soften the diagnosis. The anchors do. The analysts do. The consultants absolutely do. And that asymmetry between the cartoon that names it and the credentialed expert who won't tell you everything you need to know about who the media apparatus is actually built to serve. And then they wheel out the experts. You've seen them every panel, every segment. Former this, ex that. Insiders with carefully packaged grievances from their DC stint positioned as truth tellers. They talk in circles. They gesture at problems. They use the language of accountability without ever pointing a specific finger. Watch what happens when someone asks a direct question. A specific policy, a dollar amount, a name. They pivot every time. Because the segment isn't about answers. It's about presence. It's a book tour dressed as a news hit. The Chiron says former senior advisor. The agenda says Chapter 7 comes out Tuesday. No unbiased data, no actionable specifics, just vague institutional hand-wringing wrapped in credibility cosplay, and a lower third that conveniently includes the publisher. These are the professional explainer class. They don't solve problems, they monetize them. And as long as we keep accepting "I wrote a book about this" as a substitute for "here's what actually happened and here's who's responsible," we're not watching analysis. We're watching infomercials with better lighting. Distrust the system? Yeah, completely valid. But chuckling at their grift while they cash the check changes exactly nothing. This isn't new, by the way. They call it panem et circenses, bread and circuses. Keep the population fed enough and entertained enough, they'll never look up long enough to notice the empire rotting from the inside. We traded the Coliseum for cable news and TikTok. Same function, different bandwidth. The formula hasn't changed in 2,000 years. Distract the governed, protect the governing. The only upgrade is the algorithm now does the crowd control. When satire becomes the primary mode of political engagement, when a cartoon raises more civic consciousness than your senator, that's not a win for comedy. That's an indictment on the information ecosystem. And the people running that ecosystem are counting on you to treat it like entertainment. Laughter is fine for coping. It is not fine when it numbs you to the blade against your throat. South Park questions, late night distracts. There's a difference, and it matters. Stop griping from the sidelines. Stop accepting book tour diplomacy as journalism. When a so-called expert can't answer a direct question, that's the story. When a panel segment ends with no specifics, no names, no accountability, you just watched a commercial. Demand facts. Pierce the veil. Fight for a system that serves the many, not the moneyed few. This isn't a democracy. This isn't even a republic anymore. It's a rigged casino, and the House has been laughing the whole time. It's time to flip the table. Watch the pattern. Ask better questions. Hell, just ask a question. I'm Keith, and this is Keith Speaks.